Zombies in Spaceland. Arguably one of the most underrated zombies maps ever made, that title being given to it by countless amounts of people for great reasons. You see, Zombies in Spaceland was the first map to release with the infamous boots on the ground Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. And surprisingly, the map is near perfect. From details to gameplay, today I want to go down memory lane, look at the history that the map has gone through, and how in my opinion it has aged like fine wine. Zombies in Spaceland takes place in an abandoned theme park. This said theme park is also set in a movie. As crazy as that may sound, Infinite Warfare Zombies' explanation on how there are zombies in these maps is by having each map set in a movie. The story of Spaceland isn't anything too complex, but the lead up to it involves Willard Wyler, who is a director that has been making movies for quite a few years. However, he ended up making a deal with Mephistopheles, the devil himself, to trap people in his movies to take their souls. During his directing career, he had a fallout with his daughter and her husband, resulting in him trapping both of them in one of his films, killing them. Now, Willard Wyler was under the influence of Mephistopheles, which drove him to do these terrible things he does. As an attempt to break away from Mephistopheles, he got a group of famous people and sent them into his films to try to break himself free. Unfortunately, they failed and instead got trapped as characters in 4 different movies. Not giving up hope, he created a better group of people who will be the ones who rescue him from the nightmare that he has been living. And they are our crew of 4 that we play as. The thing that fascinated me always with them is how unique and different they are to one another, in the way they behave and the way they play the map. Each character has their own little animation that plays once you enter the map, notifying you about their personality and the character they are playing on this movie. Also, each character has a unique melee attack, removing the classic combat knife we've seen in Treyarch Zombies games and also even Exo Zombies. This actually really makes each character fun to hop in as and changes up the playstyle each time you replay the map. Also, the voice lines they have are a huge highlight of the characters they play on the map. Listening to all their voice lines, the way they are delivered is almost perfect. The famous girl continuously saying things like, well, the nerd continuously mentioning quizzes and math related topics, really portraying the roles of the 80s themed characters. Trying to do my in-depth research on the characters in the game, I found that surprisingly each one has their own story and how they ended up trying to find a role with Willard Wyler. I won't be going over every character's backstory as that'll just make things a bit confusing, but I'll give you a quick briefing. They were all looking for an opportunity to play in more movies, some because they were desperate for a role and some because they just wanted to be in it, and Willard ended up specifically convincing each character to come and be in his new movie, and the rest is history. That's the basic synopsis of it all, but enough talking about how they behaved, and instead it's time to meet our new crew of 4. First up is the nerd, or as his real life in-game name, Poindexter. Who the hell calls their child Poindexter? Just a quick disclaimer, sorry to all people out there that are actually called Poindexter, not because of what I just said, but because you have to live with that name for the rest of your life, unless you change it legally, but let's be honest, deep down, you know it's your actual real name. So I am truly sorry. He's basically the nerd character in the game, the geeky guy with an outfit that honestly resembles someone who would get bullied and get a wedgie at school every day because of his helmet. He really pokes fun at the 80s movies and the way these nerds were portrayed. He's personally my favorite character with his unique look and personality he brings with his lines, voiced by none other than Seth Green, who has a funny and different personality that he gives his characters, most famously being Chris Griffin from Family Guy.
Dad, I'm scared.
He also has probably the weirdest melee attack. He simply slaps the zombies. Yep, that's it. Goofy ass slap. Next up is the Valley Girl, or her real in-game name, Sally. She's your typical famous girl, rocking big puffy blonde hair, a sassy and popular girl personality that sometimes makes her seem like she's a bit behind everything, demonstrating the classic 80s famous girl. girl. One of my favorite things with her is the melee she has, and that is a spork. Of all the weapons or things I would have expected her to use, a spork was definitely not one of them. After Sally, we got the rapper, or Andre. Andre rocks some matching clothing that instantly represents the character that he plays in the film, and that is a DJ rapper ripped straight from the 80s. He also has some sick brass knuckles, which funny enough are his melee weapon attack. And lastly, we have AJ, the jock, the bully, or whatever way you also want to associate him with. He has the classic college football jacket. His melee choice is a broken glass bottle. Nothing amazing, but cool nonetheless. These characters, in my opinion, are amazing to portray the 80s theme of the map, grabbing some stereotypical aspects from those years and making the characters be them. You think that it's such a random group of characters to play, but I think that's why it's great for the map, since the map itself is so chaotically crazy and fun, so it just works perfectly. There's also 2 more characters that are a part of the map, and funny enough, also become playable after doing some little secrets. The first character being David Hasselhoff. Yep, that guy from the SpongeBob movie. Hasselhoff behaves as our DJ of the map and is the first famous person we come across who previously attempted on rescuing Willard. One thing I will say is that the map is so much enhanced with the music that he plays. From the start that you spawn in, you get greeted by the voice of David Hasselhoff, who welcomes you to the map. From there, he plays classics such as Final Countdown, Relax, and even King of the Rock, on top of other famous titles. This music, wherever you go on the map, can be heard blazing, making the experience of playing Spaceland that bit different from the previous Zombies installments. Now, Hasselhoff chills on the map in a little DJ booth. You can interact with him, which is used to help you out in completing the Easter egg, which I will get into more later. But by completing the Easter egg itself, you can play as Hasselhoff. It's one of many rewards that you get for completing it, which I don't think we've ever seen before in Zombies mode on Treyarch or Sledgehammer Zombies to this level. The way you can get him is by putting in a special combination of keys or buttons to press depending on what you play on. This feels really nostalgic, reminding me of putting in cheats on GTA San Andreas or even trying to play as Luigi on Super Mario Bros. On the DS. Man, I love those games. In the end, to get to play as a celebrity that is literally playing himself in the map is just amazing and so rewarding for it to be a reward in the first place for completing an Easter egg. And now our last and final character is Willard Wyler himself, voiced by Paul Rubens, who you may know as the guy who was Pee-wee. First thing to get out of the way, you unfortunately couldn't play as him when the map first came out, and you can't really unless you complete every single Easter egg, plus the most difficult boss fight ever created in Zombies. But what he does do on this Zombies map, apart from being the main antagonist, is he's the announcer that we've experienced on previous Zombies installments, but a bit different. Wyler not only narrates what you are and aren't meant to do, he also does classic directing callouts. These really go along with the player and what they do, such as going down and bleeding out. He tells you to, well, die by continuously bleeding out, judging the character's performance in the role, and so much more that once again gives to the experience of the map. It's really the little things that make this so damn good, things that you may pick up by yourself but can't be missed by the average person. Now, a good place to start before we move on to everything about the map itself is the new mechanics that were introduced into Infinite Warfare Zombies as a whole. The first one being the addition of supply drops. The closest thing that we've had to this before was the Liquid Divinium system on Black Ops 3 Zombies. But even at that, the Infinite Warfare Zombies supply drops behave slightly differently. The main reason for that is because of the addition of weapon variations. This surprisingly is almost like a pay-to-win system more than it was on Black Ops 3, something that already really isn't like throughout the COD fanbase considering what happened previously with Advanced Warfare. Nonetheless, by completing normal Zombies matches, you would be rewarded with keys. that in return you can use to purchase supply drops, or of course you can purchase the supply drops with COD points. Now there is the common supply drop, giving you a slightly harder time to find rarer items, and the rare one, rewarding you with really anything from the super rare stuff to even like the most common things. Another interesting thing with these keys is that you were able to earn them also in multiplayer itself, as they transfer through the two game modes. The main things you could be rewarded with the supply drops were weapon rarities, which were almost like different variations of the weapons that you already had unlocked. For example, one of the best weapons in Infinite Warfare multiplayer is the NV4 Fallout. The reason for that is not only because it is good, but also it allows players to get a nuke faster by getting a lesser amount of kills. And in zombies, this also applies, but instead by getting 150 kills on zombies without going into last stand, you will be rewarded with a nuke power-up. Not as good, but it's still similar with the whole nuke idea. On top of this, there were also Mark II variations of the variations, which rewarded you with the same benefits of the normal versions, but you could get extra XP. These weapons weren't the only thing you could get in the zombie supply drops. You were also rewarded with Fate and Fortune packs. If you open the zombie supply drops, this is your good old Gobblegum-like system. Special cards that can give you different abilities, from good ones to bad ones. There are two sections of these cards: the Fate cards, which are the free quote-unquote cards that don't require a limit and cannot be rewarded in supply drops, and the Fortune cards, these being only in supply drops and having a limit to them. Also, these cards have a rarity represented with the classic method of colors: white meaning common, blue meaning rare, purple meaning legendary, and orange-ish meaning epic. The interesting thing with these is that instead of purchasing each card per round, you simply had to fill up a meter that would give you the ability to choose between 5 pre-chosen by you cards. And the way you'd refill this said card deck is by literally buying from the devil himself. A fortune teller machine that kind of looks like the devil can be found scattered around the map that by paying a certain amount of money will give you your cards back. This is if you haven't run out of the fortune cards, which have a limit to them of course. Now these two things aren't definitely not the only new additions to Infinite Warfare Zombies, but they were the two that I wanted to cover before we moved on to the map itself. Now, perks are such an essential big part of zombies. The thing that we always save our points up for. The thing that gives us that extra boost to take on the zombie hordes. In previous installments, we've seen perks being drinkable, coming out of an ice-cooled bottle dispenser machine, but this time around, Infinity Ward and the evil genius that Lee Ross is, they made perks candies or sweets, depending on where you are from the world. This time the perks were rocking some sick-ass art on a cardboard box that supplies you with the power of the perk. Also, the perks were stored this time around in candy machines, which you could say are almost like the ice-cooled bottle dispensers. And it's safe to say that Infinite Warfare Zombies offers quite a selection of them. We have Up and Atoms, which is our good old quick revive that grants you the ability to revive yourself in a solo match or teammates faster. We have Tough Enough, which is our good old Juggernaut, granting a player extra strength to take on the zombies. We have Blue Bolts, emitting electricity each time you reload, basically electric chair. We have Racing Stripes, allowing you to zoom around the map. We have Quickies, our speed cola, allowing you to reload that weapon that bit faster. We have Bang Bangs, our best friend Double Tap, being resurrected one last time in a zombies experience. To this day, we have not yet seen it return after World War II zombies, but not only giving you extra firepower, but also increasing the bullet fire speed. We have Mule Munchies, our donkey on the map, allowing you to carry 3 weapons, but also it actually tells you which weapon is the third one. Amazing. We have Bomb Stoppers, one that prior to this was not seen for a damn long time, and this is because it is your PhD flopper. Kinda. It's more of just PhD minus the flopper, just don't take damage from explosives. And now we have the last 2 new additions to zombies overall. We have Trailblazers. This perk was fan made by the Reddit user Raphael6789 called Banana Colada, thank you Fandom Wiki, but then was actually made in custom zombies maps. The basic idea of it was that when you slid, you emitted a yellow slime that tripped and killed zombies, like the effect of the Sliquifier but in a perk. That's kind of what Trailblazers does, but instead emitting fire from when you slide and damaging zombies over time or even fully killing them. And overall, the last perk on Zombies in Spaceland is Slappy Taffy. I'm not entirely sure if this is an original idea or if it's also based on a fan-made perk, since what it does is it increases your melee damage from either using melee attack or an axe that is on the map. Also, it allows you to stun some zombies sometimes with the melee. Cool thing with these perks is that you can remove them by interacting with the perk that you have purchased. This is a neat little addition that we have never seen in Zombies before. Also, there is no Wonder Fizz machine in the game, which sucks because you essentially have to run around the ginormous map, which takes quite a bit of time. And also, you can actually carry 5 perks instead of the classic 4 we've seen before. Now, unfortunately, Perkaholic isn't as easily obtainable as it is on Black Ops 3 Zombies with the Gobblegums. This time around, you need to complete the Super Easter egg to have a chance of getting it on the map straight away off the bat when you spawn in, or by completing the main Easter egg on Zombies in Spaceland and then a side Easter egg that is only unlocked once you complete the main Easter egg. And then you can complete this Easter egg by popping balloons, finding special skulls around letters to spell out ghosts, and then getting kills on a dance floor on specific tiles and just doing way more complicated stuff. But this in return allows you to go inside of an arcade machine that then by completing this little arcade machine objective, you actually get rewarded with permanent Perkaholic on the map for that match. This is a cool addition, but it sucks that you have to complete so much stuff in the first place to get there, and I guess it makes you less overpowered. Now, the zombies in Spaceland are such an interesting addition to making the zombies what it is, since there are actually quite a few different versions of them. You have the basic normal zombie, rocking some classic 80s outfit that go with the theme of the map. They aren't anything too difficult to take down, but offer some bonuses to the players, like dropping bags filled with some goodies, and of course dropping you the classic drops like insta-kill or nukes. The things that they actually drop inside of the little bags are things like grenades, ammo, currency, and also glasses, but more on that later. On top of the normal zombie, you have the heavy zombie. They're stronger than the average zombies in the sense of damaging you and the amount of damage that they require to be killed. And of course, the thing that is used to represent these heavy zombies are fat police officers. It's kind of funny since they are representing your typical fat police officer that sits around all day and does nothing, eating donuts, reminding me a lot of Chief Wiggum from The Simpsons, which I think popularized that stereotype. Also, a neat thing with these zombies is that another way of telling that they're police officers, if somehow you weren't able to tell from what they are wearing, the eyes on these zombies are blue and red, representing lights on a police vehicle. Now, the next zombie type can trigger some phobias for people, and that is because they are clowns. Yep. On top of these clowns, they also blow up. Thankfully, these clowns zombies aren't around all the time and only show up on certain rounds, that being because they're the replacement for your classic dog rounds. So thankfully, all the people that are terrified of clowns only have to deal with crazy, killer, explosive clowns every so often. And the last and final zombie type is the Brute, the biggest and strongest zombie. He's like the Panzer or Margwa on Zombies in Spaceland, spawning in rarely and is only there to really make the experience just a slight bit harder. He rocks a pretty cool mask, which is of an alien, and his attacks aren't also anything crazy. He does your classic hand swipe if you're close to him, and also throws weird explosives at you. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure what he throws, but also he wears the mask, and when he does, he shoots a laser at you. The way you'd take him down is by dealing damage to his mask, and then he takes the mask off, which allows you to deal damage to his normal face, killing him. Now let's walk through the map. The layout of any zombies map feels like such an essential part of making them differ from just good to great. The screen is black. Text appears, sometimes in the 80s. Spaceland Theme Park, 12:30. Restore the power to the park. Your character does an animation equipping a radio, which is a neat addition and shows how your characters communicate across the map. Instantly after you're in, you can get the feeling of the map. Seeing everything behind the blocked off doors makes the map feel enormous. The spawn room offers you with 2 wall buy weapons, but aren't exactly on wall buys, and surprisingly one of them is quite literally like one of the best weapons in the game, that being them one Garand. And other things you can find in the spawn are Up and Atom's perk machine, a guide mode that I guess helps you in the map. I tried it out and it never really did anything. And in spawn you have the first power switch. Now power needs to be turned on in almost all of the different locations on the map, including spawn. By activating this switch, it gives life to most of the main area, turning on the huge signs saying Spaceland and everything this first area has to offer. By purchasing the first door, you are welcomed to the first huge open area, which is populated like crazy with things from gift shops, which are filled with the most common plushie asset in the map, and a huge portal. This portal is used to teleport to the Pack-a-Punch room and is done by activating 4 different portals that are around the map, and by walking through them it simply opens up this massive portal itself. It's a simple and easy way of getting to the Pack-a-Punch room, which offers some nice little references to Willard Wyler's previous movies and allows you to upgrade your weapon for the classic amount of 5,000 points or dollars. Also, there is a brand new addition to this zombies mode with coin machines. The best way to describe it is it's a simplified crafting table. Instead of finding multiple different parts in multiple different locations to then putting them all together, now by finding coins from zombies which they give at a random rate and then inserting the said coins into these machines 3 times will give you different rewards that can assist you in taking on the zombie hordes. Now there are 3 different coin types. There is a red one representing Kepler system, blue one representing Journey into Space, and green one representing Polar Peak, which are all different locations on the map. By inserting these coins either with different color combinations or with the same ones give you either a sentry gun, boombox, which is just a reimagined monkey bomb, Kindle pops, which are sweets that once placed on the ground and shot catch fire and kill zombies, and even a device that can turn zombies to your side once they step on it. There are more rewards with different coins combinations that can easily assist you in just the smallest amount of time, but can really affect the game in a good way. These machines are scattered all around the map and also have different abilities that I will get it more into later. Now aside from the huge Pack-a-Punch machine portal, some wall buys, the coin machine, and some other things, there is something very special on this part of the map, and that is Neil the robot. This is one of the best parts about the map. Reason being is that he gives you challenges and rewards for completing them. Building Neil isn't anything too difficult, as all you need to do is find his head, which is always in the same location, and place it on his body. By doing this, he will give you up to 5 challenges which can be easily completed. He doesn't reward you with perks or points or weapons, but instead he gives you tickets. Now this is the second new currency, I guess, if you count the coins one as one, and it is a huge part of the map. Tickets can be obtained in many different ways, either from Neil's challenges, zombie bag drops, using traps, and also playing arcade games. These said arcade games or even mini games are scattered all around the map, which we will be getting more into later. Now you might be wondering what the ticket currency might be used for, and that's to purchase certain items like special grenades, weapons, and even unique attachments for your weapon. Quickly to go over some of the grenades, these are actually quite insane. There is a black hole grenade that almost behaves like a Gersh device, and even a grenade that literally allows you to shoot asteroids from the sky down to the map. Pretty insane stuff. Unfortunately, this currency isn't really used to buy anything like wall buys or even perks, but still a nice and cool thing to obtain over time. Anyway, back to Neil. By completing all of his challenges, you can interact with him, which does something that I love to this day. And that is, he literally flies up into the sky into a shine and disappears. But that's not all for our best friend Neil, as after some time he comes back rocking a new red and black paint job and also a little surprise. He is carrying David Hasselhoff himself, the man, the myth, the legend, ends up landing with Neil and essentially becomes the civil protector of the map. He can kill zombies for you, he can revive you, and just behaves as an extra companion to help you out for a limited time. Unfortunately, Hasselhoff doesn't stay around forever, and over some time Neil takes him back into the unknown. Now putting in a battery part will allow you to complete slightly more difficult challenges, and a similar thing will happen. Beams up, brings Hasselhoff, and now after inserting a floppy disk for the 3rd time and completing more challenges, you are now able to call in Hasselhoff as many times as you wish for 5,000 points. This is a cool side Easter egg to complete, but again feels like it would be worthless to do multiple times in a game. Definitely having the addition of a person that could revive you is cool, but to go through that hassle, Hasselhoff. But it doesn't feel like it's really worth it. Either way, I stand Neil. Look at him. All happy all the time. Unless you punch him. Don't punch Neil. He doesn't like that. Anyway, getting all those complicated things out of the way, let's finally make our way through the map. From the main hub area, you can go 3 different ways: into Polar Peak, which is a snowy mountain theme, Journey into Space, which is space themed, and finally Kepler system, which is alien-y side of the map. Spaceland's theme is actually a bit confusing. It differs from space to more space, aliens, and also, for some odd reason, Yetis. I mean, I guess it's a supernatural theme if anything. They do also kind of look like aliens. But we're going to start off with Journey into Space. Before we do that, I'm quickly going to go over some more complicated things. There's a neat addition that has been implemented into co-op versions of the map. See, the first door of all of these 3 locations is a bit different from the average one that you may purchase for 1,000 points and move on. No, this time around, in a game with more than 1 player, the doors cost depending on the amount of players there are. So if you're playing solo, the door will cost 1,000 points. But if you're playing with 1 more player, it'll be 2,000, but only 1,000 per player since it behaves as a donating system. Unless you do want to pay for the door twice and waste 2,000 points straight off the bat. Now, this does increase with more players, so 3, it'll be 3,000, 4, it'll be 4,000. I think this is honestly a great addition into the map, not only slightly solving the whole you have more points by this door, or just complaining to your friends that they don't buy anything because, you know, they try to act like they don't know there is a door to buy. You know, they never buy stuff, hogging all those points, and you're literally the only one that buys those doors. Anyway, this system only applies to the first 3 doors as I've mentioned, so it really doesn't fully solve the whole debate between friends, but it does try to slightly change it up. Also, if perhaps you're some points short to buy that door, or anything really, you can use an ATM that is located right next to the portal that allows a player to donate up to 1,000 points and then withdraw either yourself or your teammates. Anyway, now we enter Journey into Space. The first location offers you 2 routes to take, one to the left and one to the right. Going right will take you to one of the best locations on the map that I'm going to save for later, but instead we're going to take the longer way around, going left. We are greeted with our first of many traps. You see, these traps play a huge role on the map, not only because they are extremely powerful, but also because they are unique and make each location that bit more special. I swear I've been saying the exact same thing over and over, but trust me, it's true. Now, this trap is basically a carousel of rocket ship pods that by activating it, they will begin to aggressively spin and take out anything near it, including the player. This really reminds me of, what's it called? The centrifuge from Ascension. Huh. Never knew that's what it was actually called. Anyways, before purchasing a door that makes you go further, you can actually find the Mule Munchies perk. Now moving on, we can see our first of many portals around the map. As I mentioned before, that by going through, it will give you the ability to progress in unlocking the Pack-a-Punch portal. Moving on further, we can find Tough Enough, which is located in one of the most dangerous spots on the damn map. I swear they did that on purpose. Nonetheless, here you can also see our main trap for Journey into Space, and that is a huge ass rocket that when activated will burn zombies with fire from the engines. Not my favorite trap, but still a cool one. Making our way further, we got No Man's Land, as I like to call it. The first place of 2 that you play with fire by going through, and that is because you have to go through almost a trap that is always activated and isn't controlled by you, and that is the bumper car location. There are 3 different bumper cars that go left to right or up and down depending where you come from, and you have to time yourself right right so you don't get hit by them. It isn't impossible to get through, but still very risky. From here you can come out to an area where it isn't super interesting, and it's also a pretty popular first box location. Quickly to mention the box in the game, it isn't what we've seen before. Not a random box with some question marks on it that somehow rotates through multiple different weapons, or a 3D printing machine. Not gonna lie, it's still probably one of the only ones that actually makes sense. But Infinite Warfare Zombies box is a spinning wheel, one of the most infamous lottery based games out there, which really applies to the whole mystery box idea. Now the weapons you can get aren't amazing. You won't get the wonder weapons unless you complete the super Easter egg or any non-weapon things like, let's say, a monkey bomb. You can get the typical shotgun, LMG, AR, SMG, stuff like that. The only really different and interesting thing in there is an axe. But okay, now let's get on to the next location, the coolest one that I purposely took so long to get to, the arcade. Yes, a place that is literally full with arcade machines, from the classic arcade machines that allows you to play actual Activision classics like Demon Attack, if you even know what those are, and even some unique machines, the first one being the Shooty Water game. Yeah, I have my own name for everything because I actually don't know what they're really called. The basic idea is to shoot water at the target to race AI or race a friend if you have any. Well, you can actually complete this with randoms as well. Moving on, we have two average-ish machines and skee ball game thingy, the timey game thingy machine. With both of these, you kind of need to have good timing by either pressing down a button and holding it long enough, or just pressing it to time it correctly to get honestly very average tickets. But now it is time for the two of the single-handedly greatest games for not only tickets but extreme enjoyment: the basketball hoop game and the hit teeth of this alien from Funny Failed Extinction Mode alien thingy from COD Ghost. The thing with these two games is that it's skill based, enjoyable, easy, and fast to stock up on those beautiful tickets. Now with all of these tickets you might be wondering what to buy. Don't worry, as there is a reward shop that instead of giving you candy or maybe a plushie, it rewards you with ammo, some crocodile gold teeth, and some giant ass wonder weapon that freezes zombies. Also, as I've mentioned before, you can buy some grenades and actually attachments for weapons. I will get into all of that later. Apart from the sick ass arcade games, you can find our second portal and also a new trap. This time around, it makes zombies get distracted with a dance floor, bust out into some sick ass moves, and get killed by lasers that shoot out of a disco ball. Yeah, from here you can once again go left or right. Right will take you back to Journey into Space entrance, where we could have turned right to then end up in the arcade pretty fast, or turn left, which will take us up to Polar Peak. Now once you turn left, you can actually see the next perk, which is Trailblazers. But we won't be really going up this way. If you were to go up this way, you'd have to go through like the behind the scenes of Polar Peak, which is a really nice addition of having a different way to go around. But instead of going through that tight path up to Polar Peak, let's trace back our steps to the main hub area and go from the bottom. Honestly, nothing changes. You still go through a really tight but actually like more detailed, because it's snowy and stuff, pathway up. But once you reach the top, you get to see a gift shop. Also, here we have another portal and our next trap, probably the most disappointing one. All it does is shoot a laser that kills zombies. Making your way a tiny bit higher and purchasing a second door, you get greeted with quickies depending on which way you go. Since going a different way, you will have a roller coaster ride. It's not your usual one though. No, this time around you are given a gun. Yes, a gun that you use once you go through the actual roller coaster ride, shooting down more clowns but also targets to survive. The cool thing with this is you can go with a friend and try to compete to see who can get a larger score depending on the amount of targets they shoot. And as with all of these little mini games or arcade machines, you get rewarded with tickets. Unfortunately, that's kind of for Polar Peak, unless you count the next area as part of it, and that can be accessed by going back through the Polar Peak gift shop into the the back. Here, by going over a bridge, you will be greeted with different fountains. I'm not entirely sure if it's fountains you would call them. These are more of like water shooting up at really high pressure, and it can actually like shoot you up into the sky. Also, there is one fountain that is slightly covered up with a manhole, and it shoots at an angle, which allows you to get over to Kepler from here, but we'll wait for that for a while. Something you can also find here is the Bang Bangs perk, but now it's time to go through a neat alternative way to get down from the polar peak height, and that is by going down these pretty cool slides. Once you're down below, you are basically back to the main hub area where we first went up to polar peak, and now we can make our way to the final location, Kepler system. Climbing your way a tiny bit up to the location, you will be presented with a fountain, but if you look around, you can actually find a new arcade machine, this one requiring you to shoot alien targets, and by shooting them you will be rewarded with tickets, but they can also decrease if you end up not shooting the aliens and actual normal people or civilians. Similar to previous arcade games, you can actually play this one with a friend to see who gets more tickets. From here, there's actually something cool I forgot to mention. These cool little arts of some of the Infinity Ward Zombies developers, which include the main man himself, Lee Ross. This is a nice thing that Zombies maps have done throughout the COD history, but this one just kind of feels a bit different, having plenty of developers scattered around the map, including an Employee of the Month board with one of the most happiest guys ever in June. Look at him. And he's just so happy. Anyway, from here, we finally meet the quote-unquote No Man's Land Part 2. This time around, a huge crocodile head that can crush you and insta-kill you if you're not fast enough moving across it. Funny enough, this is actually one of the most popular things to use for high rounds, as it never reaches a health cap on damaging zombies, basically continuously insta-killing them. Anyway, from here we can find Bomb Stopper's perk and also the last and final trap. What I like to call it, the Sucky Suck Air Ting trap. Yeah, it's essentially a suck up zombie trap where when activated they just shoot up. Nothing too crazy. Moving on, we can find our final perk, that being Slappy Taffy, and also the last and final portal. From here you can find some stairs leading up to a cafeteria-like place, which has the box spawn that I mentioned previously, one of 3, and it would make you think that it's a dead end. But do not fear, by purchasing a door that, I will be honest, for the longest time I didn't know it even existed because it blended in so well with everything, you can make your way right back to Polar Peak's fountains. But instead of going there, let's take a secret different area. Yes, a secret kind of part. Basically an underground part of the map that is more of the behind the scenes stuff that you wouldn't really see unless you were a park employee. This whole area sometimes feels like a maze since nearly every bit of it looks identical, but it's the place where you can find our final perk, Racing Stripes. One thing I will say about this area is when I was trying to get some footage of this place, I didn't have any music from David Hasselhoff or zombies around me, and oh boy, this place is really creepy. From random broomsticks falling over and other things happening in the background, and even creepy ass clown laughs, this definitely gave me the heebie-jeebies when I was making my way through there. On your way out of this maze, you can actually take 2 different paths. You can take one that will bring you out to journey into space, or one that will bring you back to that eerie alley with blue bolts, giving us more ways around the map. Finally, we have fully explored zombies in Spaceland, going over some key features and new additions also. But now to quickly go over some of the little things with this map. It's definitely one of the more tightly cornered maps in zombies history. There aren't really many parts of it that you can confidently use as a training location because of the odd random spawns that zombies have, which I guess doesn't really come down to the map's layout or anything with the way it is, just the spawns of zombies that they have. They can either come out through walls or for some odd reason out of the ground, which really affects training in my opinion. Aside from that, I think it's a beautiful and extremely populated map, every location giving you a sense of what happened, that all of a sudden what I can only assume was a really populated park suddenly had a zombies outbreak. From bloody footsteps to bloody handprints to even seeing perk boxes or other things that the theme park would have scattered around the map really gives it a sense of depth and makes it really nicely detailed. Now that that's over, let's talk wonder weapons. And yes, I said wonder weapons. See, there are 5 of them, 4 pistols and one weird freezy thing I mentioned before that you can purchase for tickets. So let's look at that one first. By purchasing it for 500 tickets, you can get the Forge Freeze wonder weapon. The way it works is you have 2 shooting types, the freeze ray and the shotgun. The thing with the shotgun is that it only works on zombies that were frozen by the ray. Now this gun isn't anything great. If anything, it honestly kinda sucks. Not only is it weak, but it also runs out of ammo super fast. So it almost becomes useless straight off the bat. But hey, at least you can pack-a-punch it. By doing that, it becomes the Frostbite. And unfortunately, it still sucks. There isn't really anything else I have to say about it apart from it's cool that you can purchase it and not have to construct it through a painful building process, because the actual 4 pistols require you to do that exactly. Now the building process is very similar across the 4 of them, but the abilities they have are not. Think of it as the staffs or the bows, even though there is no actual default basic version of it and only the 4 different variations. So there are 3 parts you need to collect: a battery, a toy plushie, and a special crystal. The battery is differently obtained across the 4 wonder weapons. For example, one might require you to shoot red targets that can only be seen using the special glasses I mentioned earlier that put you into a white and black vision, and one might require you to activate a portal, throw a grenade at it, and then travel all the way back to the pack-a-punch portal with the same grenade that you threw down by picking it up and continuously throwing it, and then throwing it into the pack-a-punch portal, and you'll be rewarded with the battery. You know, sometimes I think to myself, how the hell did anyone find this one? I won't go over every single step as this isn't a guide on how to unlock the wonder weapons, so let's move on to the plushies. It is very similar across all of them surprisingly. Going back to the coin currency and the coin machines, by inserting the coins in the special location, it can reward you with the required parts. For example, in Kepler, by inserting all red coins, you'll be rewarded with an alien plushie. This is also similar on Polar Peak by inserting all green, on Journey into Space inserting all blue, and then the arcade one requiring you to insert all 3 different colors. Now moving on to the last part, that being the crystal. This one is a slight bit more complex. So after opening the pack-a-punch room, you can make your way inside, and once you're there, to the left you can interact with a small spaceship that will then activate 4 different spaceships that fly out and go over to 4 different traps. One at the rocket ship in Journey into Space, one on the dance floor in the arcade, one on the laser in Polar Peak, and the last one being in Kepler system at that sucky trap. God, I should probably stop saying that. What happens here is this spaceship orbits the trap which you need to get kills with. By getting a certain amount of kills on zombies with the said trap, the spaceship will then decide to roam around the said location where it is at. Now, as I mentioned before, the special gun attachment comes in, the arcane core that you can purchase with tickets. By killing zombies of any kind apart from the brute, with this arcane core around the rocket ship, you can fill it up with souls. Once you fill it up with the required amount of souls, which can differ with the increased amount of players you have in your game, a special elemental upgrade will drop that you can only pick up with a weapon that has the arcane core on it. Now, if you have a brute in your game, you can make the brute get crushed by the crocodile head by simply running over just in time for him to try to hold it on. Purchasing the gold teeth I mentioned before with tickets, you can insert them into the broken teeth that the brute managed to break by holding down the crocodile's head, and inserting these gold teeth will open up a secret area that now you can use your special elemental part on your gun to shoot off like a weird metal bed that then allows you to pick up this special crystal. Now, having all of your 3 parts, going to respected weird like cardboard cutouts of aliens that are just scattered around the map, putting in the 3 parts. For some odd reason, plushie is involved, literally the one that I just never understand, you can get your wonder weapons. Okay, now let's actually talk about the wonder weapons real quick. So all 4 of these look very similar to one another. First, we have the Shredder. This bad boy is the Kepler wonder weapon, and once you use it on zombies, it essentially shreds through their body, only leaving the head each time. The Shredder is considered to be one of the best versions of the 4, but overall these wonder weapons kind of drop off in damage fairly fast the higher rounds you go up. Next up is the Discord. This gun is the arcade wonder weapon, and once you shoot it at a zombie, it makes them dance until they die. Also with this, it can kill zombies that run near that boogieing zombie. It's actually funny how many things on this map actually end up killing zombies because they dance too much. Next up, we have the Face Melter, which is part of Journey into Space, and you can take that name quite literally with this gun, since once you shoot a zombie, it removes its legs with thrusters of flames that launches it up into the sky and blows it up into fireworks. It's not the most powerful weapon, but definitely a funny one considering they literally fly up into space and explode. And lastly, we have the Head Cutter, being the Polar Peak wonder weapon. This one isn't too special with what it does to zombies, as it just makes their heads explode into colorful smoke. It's okay, I guess. And yeah, those are the 5 wonder weapons in the map. And funny enough, none of them are really the weapons people use for high rounding. As I've mentioned before, both the traps and the one starting weapon being the M1 Garand are somehow better than using wonder weapons. So, the Easter egg. Something I've been putting off for a while in the video, and the main reason for that is because it's not really too good. The main steps aren't too difficult, and the only thing that stands out is the boss fight itself and the rewards you get for completing it. To start off the Easter egg, you need to collect 3 different parts in 3 different locations: a boombox, calculator, and an umbrella. By collecting all 3 of these parts and then bringing it to Hasselhoff once he is a DJ somewhere in the map, he will construct you a Seticom, which is just like a combination of all of those parts together. Then with this Seticom, you have to go over to 3 different locations that can differ each game and complete a lockdown type of minigame where you protect the Seticom from being destroyed. The only challenging thing here is that it gets more and more difficult with each lockdown. After this is done, bring over the Seticom back to Hasselhoff. He gives you speakers that you can place around the Pack-a-Punch portal, and then you have to complete a little Simon Says game with a UFO that involves colors and sounds. Then you're in the boss fight. Now here's where the challenge comes. This boss fight is just something else. You see, you have to take down an alien that I may add just becomes horrible with more players. You think more players will make it easier? Oh no. This time, the said idea of donating to open a door applies similar to this, but instead of it costing more, it just spawns in more aliens. So 2 players, 2 aliens, 4 players, 4 aliens. Just think of it, more bosses for some odd reason that are already difficult enough on their own. And these bad boys are really just really difficult to take down. They have attacks that can insta down you on top of spawning in more zombie hordes that will just annoy you. And the basic idea is to weaken them enough so that you can melee their back 3 times and kill them to get a special key. This kind of reminds me of something. Anyway, explaining what to do in the boss fight seems way easier than actually completing it. But one cool thing is, we got a special mode after the map released inside of Infinite Warfare that allows you to play any kind of zombies boss fight on any kind of map. With this, you can select whatever weapon you want, whatever perks, and train for the best strategy to take on the alien before you attempt it for real. Also, there's really no ending to this, at least none to finishing the Easter egg on Zombies in Spaceland itself. No cutscene, just get the key and receive a trophy or achievement, plus the other rewards later on, which kinda sucks, and you don't really know what happens until the intro to the first DLC map in Raven the Redwoods, where you learn that they simply pick up the key and teleport to the next map after picking it up. It kind of makes sense because it would just mean that your game would end, and this essentially allows you to, after complete the Easter egg, just play on and try to see how high of a round you can get. Yeah, the map itself isn't really story populated, just having some silly quotes from characters here and there, and the map really just concentrates more on the fun aspect of it, which is a good thing and also bad. I would have loved a bit more development in the story, which unfortunately the map lacks. You do get more story development in the next map and the next map that follows the next map, as you kind of get the idea, learning more about his daughter and the characters you play as, and even Willard Wyler. Overall, the ending to this game left us on a huge cliffhanger that I don't think we'll ever see the continuation of, or even the conclusion. Also, I have a little confession to make. I have still yet to complete the boss fight. Don't judge me, it's not easy. Now let's quickly talk about some honorable mentions, or just the little things. First one is the weird exquisite stickers that are seen when activating the HUD, which may I add, goddamn, there is a bunch of parts that you need to collect if you look at the actual HUD, which, you know, let's talk about the main HUD that you have in the game actually. I love it. It's so simple, small, and cool, with both the round counter indicator being a clapperboard. Damn, I'm learning some new words today. And the whole idea of cards in both left and right bottom corners. One being for either filling up or choosing your fate and fortune cards, and one being for your character, which has a different art style with each one of them and also applies to other maps. But anyway, the Inquisits. These are essentially the elemental upgrades. What you can do is, once you obtain one of the ones onto your arcane core, going inside of the Pack-a-Punch room, going over to this weird green machine, you can insert it and you can't get it back, but you get progression in the sticker board. I guess it's useless. Also, while we're at the Pack-a-Punch room, after completing the main Easter egg, you can now put in a special fuse inside of the machine, which now allows you to Pack-a-Punch the wonder weapons, that being the 4 pistols, and also allows you to double Pack-a-Punch your weapon, going from a nasty boring ass purple camo to a nasty black blue boring camo. Yeah, I don't really like the Pack-a-Punch camos. Also, there is an Afterlife arcade. Think of it as the gulag from Warzone, not the real thing. But if you're playing with other people or friends, if you bleed out, you'll be thrown into the Afterlife arcade, where you have all or at least most of the arcade games that you need to complete to fill a meter that, once you do, opens up a special door and allows you to hop back into the game instead of waiting a full round to end. This also happens in solo, but instead of having to complete the games, the door is just open and allows you to hop back in. I don't really know why it's in solo, because it just complicates things by having you weaponless for a limited time, because each time you return you can actually get your full loadout back minus the perks. This can be obtained from a lost and found location that is at spawn. In solo it's free to get, but while playing with more players it just costs money. Kinda sucks, but I guess it's kinda cool because you get your weapons back. You know what, it doesn't suck anymore. Also, it is timed, so if you don't have your points, say bye bye to those weapons. Actually, the Afterlife arcade has some cool little references and details also, from Willard Wyler's previous movie posters, which imply what inspired the Zombies in Spaceland map, and also the actual Zombies in Spaceland poster that we can see multiple times in the game itself. On top of this, there is a TV where you can spectate other players if you just don't feel like coming back, and funny enough, both the Pack-a-Punch room and this are kind of in the real world-ish. They're both theater places that we see our characters at in the intro cutscene. And that's all, folks. My full in-depth breakdown retrospective, whatever you want to call it, on Zombies in Spaceland. The map that in my opinion went through one of the most interesting lifetimes ever. You see, back in 2016, when it released, it wasn't received very well. People for some odd reason hated the idea of a map being goofy and fun, and not serious like previous Zombies experiences. I think it might have also had something to do with Exo Zombies just not being the best, but one of the main reasons, in my opinion, and I'm not naming any names, is because of the content creators their hate was received. More specifically, Zombies YouTubers. They hated the experience that I don't understand to this day, and trust me, I was there for it. The experience was for some odd reason not good enough, and they all remained back on Black Ops 3, which I'll be honest, I did too. And I still do to this day, and even they do also, considering the content that some Zombies YouTubers make. Now maybe they don't hate it, but there was a big dislike around the map that was definitely fueled by the hatred from some, not all, Zombies YouTubers, which thankfully over time, people including the content creators realized that this map is actually amazing and something we all even crave right now to see more of. The brilliant team at Infinity Ward really put in their heart and soul into this map and the Zombies experience overall, and it sucks that we'll never see this experience again, most likely anyway. With the way Zombies in Call of Duty is going, we might never see such bangers again. Also, because my main man Lee Ross, the genius amazing developer, also has left Call of Duty, similar to the way Jason Blundell has, which honestly, good for both of them. I hope to see some amazing stuff from those guys, and yeah, this map is just something else. I just absolutely love it, and I hope that I made you see the amazing details and what it has to offer that you might have not seen before. Okay, now this is like a second outro in a way. So thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, it's actually insane. This video was really long and I hope you enjoyed. First thing I want to say is I had so much fun making the script. It was really long. It was like one of the longest scripts I've ever written. Another thing, I had really a lot of fun editing this video. And also, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe, be sure to drop a like on the video, as dropping a like really does help out to notify me, because I want to ask you, if you've made it this far, would you like to see me do all of the retrospectives on the other maps? That being on Infinite Warfare Zombies, of course, like the 4 DLC maps that came out, including the Mephistopheles boss fight, because I have a soft spot for Infinite Warfare Zombies. I don't know why. Also, I would love if I could get some constructive criticism, as I want to improve with the whole idea of retrospectives. This was my first ever attempt, and I probably should have watched some retrospectives out there, as they are pretty popular in the zombies community, to get a bit of an understanding of how they work, but I think I did a good enough job. Yeah. Also, I am working on the next big video like this, and a little teaser that I'll give you is 3 numbers. 1, 1, 5. If you know, you know. You might think it's a different thing, or you might think it's also a different thing, depending on what you know in the zombies community. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, be sure to drop a like on the video, and as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Ooh, damn, who's that singing? Anyway, this is like a outro. Just quickly, I forgot to mention, thank you so much to Meme Wave. Without you, I seriously wouldn't have been able to get most of the recording. And also to that group of 4, or well, the group of 3 that I hopped in real quick to get some gameplay to see if anyone actually plays Zombies in Spaceland. And one of them had the Super Easter completed, and also one of them had the David Hasselhoff skin, so I didn't have to go through the painful process of completing the boss fight. But yeah, might as well subscribe. You see the subscribe button, you see that next video, press that. Go check out other videos. I'm working on other ones as well. Thank you so much if you watched this far. Peace out.